Yes. Nikki, Capiano, myself, and Ed's not, and me, Miss Magna. Sandy, but I call you Miss Magna. I have a motion for the approval of the agenda.
So moved. Nikki.
Nikki. Yeah, we do need. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So
Motion-
Jess and Nikki?
Yep.
Okay.
Motion to approve the minutes.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody on the public participation list?
Nope.
Technology update.
So we have a couple things happening over the April break. On the 18th, we will be upgrading our main firewall that provides internet access and filtering for the entire district. We're upgrading it to something much larger that will be able to provide us much greater detail in terms of filtering, but also accept a what they call bigger pipe coming in. That bigger pipe coming in is coming from the state on April 20th. Right now, we are bonding essentially 4 wires together, giving us a total of 4 gigabits of internet access. The state is coming in, CN is coming in on the 20th and upgrading our internet access switch that will give us up to 10 gigabits of internet access should we need it down the road. So we're anticipating maybe 30 minutes without internet on the 18th for anybody who may be here, and maybe an hour without on the 20th. But coming back, we'll have much greater capabilities.
Thank you.
And that's in April?
April
During the
18th
break.
and April
Spring break,
20th. Spring break.
We're here.
Yeah. We'll have hotspots, don't worry.
Okay, so in your packet, you saw the letter from Jeremy, who's a zoning planner on the temporary permission to use the driveway, with the caveat that we would come up with a plan and with an engineer. So that's the letter. I'm not going to read any further. You guys can read it, but I did speak with an engineer, B&L. They came out and they took a look at the site. They came out on a Tuesday afternoon and they watched. I specifically picked a 2:30 timeframe so that they can watch what happens with the driveway in the afternoon. And the following day, the engineer Mike called me back and we had some discussion. His discussion was rather interesting in a much different take than the city's side. Although he said that he probably wouldn't have designed the entrance to the driveway the way that it was designed, that the driveway does function, and possibly with maybe a swing gate at the end, which only allows it to be used during certain times, and the fact that there's always traffic control out there, a person with a vest, that, it might be able to be used. And they are going to send a scope and price letter to me on doing some engineering work with a stamp and approval so that we can go to the city with that information and come up with a final resolution. He said that at this point, his only auxiliary option to what's currently there, other than the swing gate, would be to turn the driveway out and make it so that it's even with the driveway that comes out of the church. And other than that, he said he would do nothing more. So that's where we're at.
He is a traffic engineer. He's not a civil. He's a traffic engineer.
Yeah.
So
So that's where we're at with the Torrington driveway. It's been open for about a week and a half now. It's really, I mean, I'll go ahead and say it. It's working
Works.
flawlessly. It really is. There, we don't see the traffic issues. We don't have traffic backed up on Torrington West. We don't have traffic backed up on Charles Street. We have a person at the end of the driveway that is helping to assist with people getting in. But the other thing that's nice too is that person also is helping to assist when our buses leave, because our buses leave in one group. So the first group goes, and while the first group is heading out, they're going down to the sister school. The other sister buses are coming up. So in both of those times, we have a person there that's allowing, kind of stopping the traffic on Charles Street momentarily to get all of our buses out of the lot safely. And it works. It just does. So more news to come on that with the engineer. We'll get the scoping letter. We'll bring that forward and make some decisions on what's going to go, what the next steps would be. And we'll get that on the zoning commission for before that, the date on this letter, the 25th.
Will he be, I'm sorry, one thing. Will he be giving us a detail on the handicap?
Yeah.
Modifications?
Yes.
Is that Glenn first?
And I'm sorry, he also didn't think that the handicap modification was much of a big deal either.
Okay. So just
Simple repair,
Yeah.
simple fix.
Fiona, was that you?
Yeah, just, so it says we have to submit everything to land use by May 11th.
Correct. So we have to put an application in. So the engineer will be working with the application and submitting the application with any drawings and his stamp on the drawings, his letters, all that stuff. And then we'll have to go before the zoning commission to get the approval.
Right, so do we have to notify them now that we want on their agenda for May 25th?
No,
No, not yet.
he will submit the application. like
Yeah.
he said. He'll-
Yeah.
Whatever the requirement is for the submission, maybe it's 2 weeks before.
Right.
He'll make sure that he meets the deadline for that.
Okay,
He'll submit-
I
there
wasn't
might be a
sure of the
small check.
process.
One thing that we may want him there, depending on how much crack we get, it might be $1,000 more, but
Yeah.
having them give, I do this now at every project, 30 of the year, having them there speaking as the expert.
Mhm.
It's very difficult for the commission to deny something when we have an expert testifying that it works better than what we had before, so. I think they charge like $650 for a meeting or something.
Yeah.
But
So
anyway,
they'll automatically put you on the agenda without you saying you want to be on the agenda?
No, we have to file the application.
file
It's just submittal.
Yeah.
To
we
the
have to-
town.
To be on the agenda?
Correct.
Yeah. We'll file the application, and at that point in time, we'll be put on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, Nick.
The only thing that was a little like concerning is that they have that the allowance, so they've given us a temporary extension, so that expires on the same day that we go forward with planning and zoning. I feel like, can we go back to them and have a little bit of wiggle room on the allowance expiring the same day as the planning and zoning? Because if there's more to come from planning and zoning, or they don't approve it, what do we do the next day?
No, the extension, I'm sorry, Gary.
Okay.
The extension was for a specific amount of time, which it actually happened to end on that same day. So, we did talk with Jeremy. Jeremy's been very reasonable with us. We did talk to Jeremy, and there is a little bit of wiggle room, a
It'll be
week
up to the
here.
chairperson.
Yeah, a week here, a week there, whatever. There's a little wiggle room. They'll let us extend it,
Right.
but the letter does state a specific time frame, whatever it was, 60 days, 90 days, or whatever, and that's when the time came up on the expiration of the time.
More than likely, Nick, I can't imagine them not voting on it. I mean, Greg Mealy will call for a vote. He's the chairperson. If they don't want to vote that night for whatever reason, they'll give us an extension to the next meeting for their decision. That's any application.
And hopefully we'll get the approval that night.
That's what, yeah, I would assume so. I mean, that board's not that difficult. They don't stand in the way.
Well, and the other thing that would work in our favor is, the driveway is working very successfully, and provided that it continues to work successfully, which I have every reason to believe, there would be no reason to give us an extension, knowing that we have all our paperwork in and stuff like that, and that, there isn't any issues up there and we're using the driveway.
Right. Yes, Fiona was next.
Oh, okay, good.
I think it's two separate issues, right? And I just don't want to get caught on this because we're have temporary use of the driveway till May 25th. Right?
Yeah.
Even if they agree for the remedy, it doesn't allow us to use the driveway unless we specifically ask them to be on the agenda to extend that until we can do the work in the summer, if they approve the project.
No, I think what's gonna happen, typically what happens is you submit the application. As soon as he gives us the design, maybe it's a month from now.
Yeah.
However, I can.
don't expect it to be
ask him, maybe 2-3 weeks. He will then fill an application. It'll be sooner than this, more than likely.
Right, but normally you're approving it before you built it. So my concern is, we've already built it. We have a temporary permit of use, which will expire on that same day. So even if they approve the project, we're not going to be able to start it the next day.
Fiona, it says in
So
number
what?
3 that the commission will consider any temporary extensions through the end of the school year as part of our application.
That's right.
Okay,
Right, that's what
Right.
the application is.
right. I just
for.
want to make
Yeah.
sure that, because if that's not on their agenda,
Basically what this letter says is, we're giving you 90 days as a temporary use. If you decide to do nothing with the commission, don't fill out any application, don't hire an engineer, then the 90 days is over, you got to shut the driveway down again. If you do that, all that stuff, and you put the application and stuff, we'll work with you and we'll get the thing open and completed and fixed, and as we'll do and they'll do and so on.
as long as we're 100% sure that we don't have to do anything, because if we have to shut that driveway in the last 30 days of school, will be a
Greg Mealy won't
nightmare.
allow that. They won't. It's up to the chairperson, which is Greg Mealy, and, the guys have been on forever. They won't allow that. They'll hear it and they'll vote. And if not, they'll just give an extension of time until they want to vote, until they can vote, but they'll vote on this. They should vote the same night. These are.
Yeah, so I guess in our application that we request both things, I guess is my point.
Yeah.
An extension through the last day of the school year and the project.
Well, then we change.
That would be-
There's going to be the slight modification to the sidewalk. What other, I'm confused on that.
No,
Putting in the
in
arm.
our application, we wouldn't request, the application would be for the approval of the driveway with whatever modifications has to happen. We wouldn't put in there that in order to get an extension on the use, it would be another letter from Mrs. Lombomsky to Jeremy that our application is in and we're requesting an
But
extension of
he's
use of
saying
the
only
driveway.
planning and zoning can offer that application. So I just want to make sure we do not have a problem with this. I think we should overly be cautious to make sure we're not shut down. Because he's saying only planning and zoning can approve an extension to the end of the school year.
Right, because planning and zoning
I agree with that.
is, yeah, they want to see the letter and they want to see that we are moving forward to make a correction to the driveway.
No, I understand that, but why wouldn't we just put in the permit, the two things that we need for them to reconsider at the
Say
meeting?
they agree on the 25th, okay, you can go
That'd be
forward with the
before
project, okay? You're at the meeting, okay, you can go forward with it. But you can't go forward with it next day because you have to make the modifications and you haven't made the modifications yet, so you can't use it. So you need an extension in order to make the modifications, right?
Depending on what he puts the application in, if we're talking about
It
a
depends on,
gate, he'll just say subject to us.
yeah,
It'll be
we
approved.
don't even know
We
what
have
the
15 days.
modifications are. We have to wait for him to actually give us what the modifications
Right.
are to even know whether or not this
I'll make
work,
sure he addresses.
this work can,
Correct.
this work can happen during our school year. And the driveway may be able to remain operational while some of the work's going on.
Right, so all we're saying, and I think what Fiona is saying, is make that part of,
Make sure it's documented.
make sure it's documented, right, and in
It'll-
writing
It'll be
that.
in the application.
Yeah.
We'll be there that
We'll
night.
just make sure
Ally was
that it's there.
Yeah.
Sue responds.
Oh.
She'll do a separate letter to planning and zoning and she'll ask Jeremy what he's.
Yeah, well,
Thank
the
you.
engineer, just so she hears this, the engineers will work, he will spend, a day with them, finding out exactly what they want. He'll fill the application out to, I work with these guys all the time, not with him though, to find out what they need, and he will make the application with the documentation to give us what we need that night at the meeting. He'll cover the scope of need, the engineer.
Just make sure it's in writing that,
It's always.
the 25th.
Yeah.
Right, what's that expression? Once bitten, twice scared.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, especially more people pick up
Yeah,
towards the end of the year, so.
Yeah, yes, Nick.
Is it worth it to have the engineer, John, meet with, whether it's the police chief, fire chief, head of, Jeremy, like at the site? Like, is there any value to that?
We've already done it a couple times.
There,
Oh, with all parties?
yeah, so the engineer, once the scoping and cost letter comes in, and we contract with the engineer, there will be a meeting with the engineer, myself, the traffic control guy. We'll go down to planning and zoning and have a meeting with them, with the engineer, and the engineer will, and the city's engineer will be there as well, and they'll start laying out all their plans for how the corrections will be made so that everybody's on the same page and that we can move forward with that application.
They will have to sign off on the application. If they're not in agreement, they will submit a letter stating that they're not in agreement.
Right.
But I hope I can't imagine that happening, but anything's possible. Yes, Jess.
Does planning and zoning have an April meeting? And would it be possible to try to get the letter to them, the application and the plan
Yeah,
to
that's
them
what-
for April?
I said
That's what we're going to try for that.
probable. I think they meet twice a month, so.
They meet twice a month.
Yeah.
So this 25th is like the last possible date,
Correct.
but
That's
we
all.
could get it in much sooner.
I mean, it's gonna take him, if he jumps on it in a week, it'll take him 2 days. He'll have a draft person sketch it and he'll stamp it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
right,
didn't make it sound like this was a very difficult or elaborate thing at all.
No, it's not.
He even thought something as simple as a gate might suffice the city.
So let's get him, initiate it, get him done.
Get it done sooner. Johnson Control.
So Johnson Controls, not really much to update, other than the fact that we, in the April meeting, we did ask Aaron from Johnson Controls. We were requested by the mayor to look into a performance contracting deal with Johnson Controls. We did ask Aaron to come and do a presentation at the meeting. I did ask Aaron in the email that I sent to him to keep the presentation to 10 to 15 minutes, no more, because the presentation that we sat in with Aaron at the mayor's office, and Sue will probably type up there and go, yes, my head was spinning in the half an hour, 35 minutes that he talked to us down there. The numbers and the figures and the stuff that he was throwing out about Z-Rex and all this stuff, he'd lose you in seconds. It's very,
Probably only one person, two people, you and Glenn, that I understand.
yeah, it's a very convoluted and very complicated subject. And, so we wanted him to keep it to, some nuts and bolts and give you guys an idea of that so that some decisions can be made whether or not want to go forward with it.
Okay.
That will happen in April.
Nick, you get 2 questions a night.
I need more than that.
Point of order, point of order.
I can only do that to you. Now you made me forget my question.
Talking
Oh,
about
with-
Johnson Controls.
So when we had originally talked about the Johnston Controls, it was really kind of, I think, focused around the solar on top of the roof. Is there a component, and I know some of the concern was putting the solar on the roof after we've already fixed our roof, right? Because it could void any warranty. I think Fiona brought that point up. Is Johnston and Controls at all, would they do the roof and the solar? Or are they strictly just a solar?
Just the solar.
So what the basis of the whole thing is, and very simply, is they would come in and they would do a complete building evaluation, all right? And then they would, what you'd have to do is you have to pay them $20,000, all right? It's non-refundable, so whether you decide to go with them or not, you don't get the $20,000 back. They come in, they do a complete evaluation of the building. They look for all of the potential energy savings. All right. And then they do an evaluation of the roofs and how much both roof and grounds, because they can put stand mounted solar units on the grounds, like in the parking lots, these kind of carport things. And they come up with a figure on how much solar that they can get to reduce your electric bill. And then in doing that, all right, there's it goes out, their original, and this was one of my issues with, they had old data. So they were trying to sell us this project with old data. And my request was, if you're going to sell us a project, you better sell it on new data. I don't want to see data from 2019 because things have changed since then. But it was about 11 years out that they were proposing on this old data that the solar would pay for itself. And then in turn, what would happen is you would end up with money that goes into your capital savings to do things like putting new roofs on the buildings and that. And it was like a 20 or 21 year whole process that they were looking out that far in putting these solar panels on the roofs. And in turn, what it was, and the reason why the mayor was is in tune to it was because of the ability to generate money for capital projects and be able to do things like getting roofs put on the buildings and whatnot. But it was interesting because the data that they had that was 2 years old, they had the cost share on the roof at it was $2 million. And we know at least now that the projected cost, and it may even be up more from the last time we did it, was 5.5 million. So their numbers were really kind of askew. And that's why we had said to them, well, we want you to go back and redo the numbers. And they came back and said, give us the 20,000 and we'll do it. And so we're kind of at that impasse right now, but he needs to come and do a presentation. And that's what he'll do. And he'll explain all the stuff that I just explained to you in a whole lot more detail. Lynn was there too. So her head was spinning as well at the Johnson Control meeting. Oh, you weren't at that one? Oh, I thought you were.
So there's a lot of companies that do that. So why just Johnson Controls? Like, should we, if we're considering this, should we be getting presentations from?
It was something that was brought to the mayor. It was brought to the mayor's attention. The mayor asked for Ms. Lombomsky and I to sit and
No, I'm saying from the
listen.
Board of Ed standpoint, like whatever happens, but from the Board of Ed standpoint, if there's multiple people that do this. So it's not like a free evaluation, right?
Well,
If we're
Some
paying
do it for
20,000 for an evaluation.
no, there is a one part of that I said, there is a price guarantee. All right. So they're going to come up with, a number. They're going to say, okay, you're going to save $10,000 a month, just to throw any number out there. And in that first month, if you only save $8,000, they're going to hand you a check for $2,000.
But that assumes that you're going to go with them.
That assumes that you're going to go with them. So, the thing with performance contracting, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and I'm personally not a fan of performance contracting. It works really good when you have a municipality that doesn't have a lot of revenue or income to do any projects, right? If they're in the hole and they need to put a new roof on the middle school and they have nowhere that they can pull money or bond money or get money for this roof, right? Then performance contracting works. But the problem with performance contracting, and I've seen it happen time and time again, right? It's almost like, in the best way to explain it is, and I forgot who came, maybe Sue came up with the explanation when we were trying to explain it.
I understand that part. What I don't understand is why we would pay to have someone do that when other people do it for free. That's the analysis. Like I understand what the second part is.
Yeah. So just to finish that thought, the problem is if it's like if you had a car and you were underwater on your car and then you needed to buy another car.
No, I know
you
that.
take that
I
money.
understand all that part of it. All I'm saying is why would we pay for the analysis when we could get it for free?
Well, because we
Can-
were asked
can
by
I-
the
can I
mayor,
just- can I
because we
just
were asked
interject
by the
here?
mayor to
Yeah,
look at it.
Glenn's got-
When you're saying they're gonna do it for free, I don't think we really understand what the it is.
Right.
Does he have a proposal, what his scope of work would be for his energy audit? It's not just looking at roofs and solar panels. The entire program is a lot more than just solar panels. So saying that they're gonna do it for free, we don't understand what the it is.
Right.
So if we have a scope of work, it might help answer a lot of
They'll tell
people's
us when we get-
questions.
gonna check the?
If I were to go with somebody, I don't particularly like solar panels on roofs. And the other problem I have with solar panels is there is no, 20 years from now, we have to dispose of them ourselves. There's no way to dispose of them. right
No,
now.
it's not
You
just-
can't
It's
get
not
rid of
just
them.
solar. Please don't.
No, I know. It's not just
It's-
solar. You're
it's
right,
not-
but
it's
A
not
lot
just
more
the
than
solar.
solar.
Correct.
They're gonna count
No,
every
I
light
was
bulb
gonna
you
say,
have.
but that Johnson Controls, if I was gonna go with somebody, they're a great company. But I don't know what they're offering. So,
Yeah, no, it's not
it's
just
more than-
solar.
It's not just
No,
solar.
so
it's
that's
a
why
very-
wouldn't this be done as an RFP or part of our
Right.
facility studies? I guess that's,
Well, I don't think, we're not gonna make it. I thought we were just listening to us.
Well,
Listen,
that was
let's-
some of the discussion that was initially had, well, first of all, the interesting part is, okay, well, the $20,000 is outside of the $10,000 threshold, which means that you would have to go out and get, go out to bid on this to be able to expel the $20,000. So there was a lot of discussion around all this, but needless to say, what we were asked by the mayor to
Listen to
listen to them, and we honored that, and we said that we would bring them in and we would allow them to Aaron to come in and speak. We've done plenty of energy projects where there was no cost to Torrington. The lighting project that I did at Torrington Middle School, there was no engineering cost on that, and that was paid for with as a comprehensive project. So it wasn't just lighting, right? There was other things included in it, and that right now annually is reduced our electric bill by $57,000 a year. So it's a
I don't think
substantial.
we're deciding. I mean, we're just gonna listen to them.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all.
I just think it's a weird process, right?
They all, but they all do that. I mean,
Yeah.
they do all do this. Again, we're not committing to them that night. I hope anybody thinks that, but
No,
this is what they,
no.
this is what they do. I mean,
Yeah.
they did it for a building we own.
You're gonna have to give more than 10 minutes. I mean,
Yeah, I was
if it's
gonna say the
something
same
we
thing.
want to listen,
Yeah.
if you're not gonna give more than 10 minutes, then just scratch
No,
it
I
out
was
because
gonna bring that up,
it's not gonna be worth your time.
I just let him give his, I mean, you'll understand it. So.
Yeah.
we're not-
I've heard his thing a few times, but
Oh,
it's, if you're not gonna give more than 10 minutes, I would say we're wasting everybody's time.
Yeah.
But
If
if
it's,
we're giving him that amount of time, why not other?
We're not saying we're not. I don't,
Oh,
it's not,
okay.
I thought we were just listening to that and I didn't see what he's offering. And I know
As
the
a
mayor asked us
courtesy
to
to
do
the
that.
city?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're not committing to anything. I don't think.
No.
But
No.
yes, go ahead. Just-
No, you were
she's-
kind of reading my mind. I mean, I was just wondering, like, I'm not sure, like, aside from being asked to, I guess. Other than that, I don't know why we would set aside a chunk of our time, which we don't have a lot of, to listen to one presentation without a plan of like, okay, we're gonna listen to a few different presentations. This month is gonna be this month is gonna be this month is gonna be this.
I think the answer might be, because the high school's coming up, I think we should see what's out there. That's all. I don't understand that at all, but I know that Johnson Controls has, I'm not saying this program works. I don't know if it works. They have great programs, just to get an idea what we can possibly do with the school, because the building committee's interested in what we're gonna do, if anything, with those buildings regarding these kinds of systems and studies and audits, but it's just, I think it's just, it might be something we can learn from.
So are we committing to listen to other companies?
If they want to.
if you like the concept,
Right. like the concept,
then you
absolutely,
can
sure.
entertain the idea, hey, let's go listen to the Siemens guys and
Right.
let's Johnson Controls, some of the companies that do offer this.
We
type
may
of
not like the
performance
concept, and I'm not,
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
Is there a rush on this? Is there a reason we wouldn't like wait till May if there was a,
well, the sooner the better, because the building, we're starting construction in July. It takes time.
I just wondered if it would.
I don't particularly like
off a month
the
or two.
programs.
It's been trying to remember. I'm trying to remember when we met with the mayor.
It was a while ago.
It was a while ago.
Who said maybe May? Because then our budget and everything's done. We don't.
Well,
have
if we're
much
not
going
doing
on.
this September, I don't know, rather than rush it if you don't think if we're ready to.
Oh, it's a facilities meeting. I don't care when we do it. Let's get it over with.
Because if this is something that you're thinking of as a double, like a dual purpose for the new building, maybe it's something that should go to the building committee.
They've already done this, but we, it's still gonna be up to us.
It really isn't, it really wouldn't become, it really wouldn't become a dual purpose for the new building. This is more about the existing structures that we have, retrofitting the existing structures that we have. The other interesting concept that came out of it was an $11 million project. And they would go to OSCGNR to get $7.3 million from OSCGNR, and then the remaining $4.7 million would be in low interest loans to the city of Torrington over the 11-year period. So
And there are other people who do that. I mean, we
So
should limit it to one. No,
right. So I thought that was an interesting concept too, that they would go to OSCGNR for our 72% reimbursement rate as part of the project. There's been some pushback from OSCGNR about whether or not they would grant fund solar panels. So the whole thing is kind of a new concept, and it's kind of, at least from OSCGNR's perspective, and it'll be interesting the way it all plays out. But we were asked to have them come in and do a presentation, so that's the only reason why it's on the agenda.
It's something we may end up using. I don't know that it will be used, but we have plenty of bonding capacity. But if they offer something that we can get a benefit from, they're certainly one of the firms that I personally would consider first. It's a long-term facilities decision, which the mayor wants us to listen to. So I don't have a problem with that. And then we can go up for other bids if we're interested.
So the reason.
We met with the mayor in January on this, is what Sue said.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
So it's January, it's March, it's been a couple of months, so that's the only reason why we had said that we would bring Aaron in to meet with the board. And that's what we told the mayor.
So to clarify then, so the mayor is doing this on the city's end for their buildings? And it could be a cost savings to have the Board of Ed also do our
The
buildings?
mayor, they made the presentation to Ray Drew, because Ray Drew and Jamie are responsible for the city's buildings. They made that presentation to them as well. No decision has been made on the city side.
But the reason that the city wanted us to do it also is what?
Well, because it offers a potential, it offers a potential funding stream. It offers a potential funding stream in order to pay for capital projects over a long haul.
So that they would no longer be in our budget, they would be in the city's budget?
No, what it would do is, it simply in a nutshell.
Can I take this
Go
before you?
ahead, absolutely.
Say all those account numbers we have, and we're spending a lot on utilities. Say over 5 years, account 5111.12, okay, is $50,000. They're going to guarantee you that we're going to save 20% of that money.
Okay.
So that 20% savings, you can then take that chunk of money and you can put it into capital projects instead of paying it in the 5,000 account numbers. That's what they're saying, what their audit is going to do.
They
So-
turn off equipment at night. They turn off machines at night. They have green plugs that everything gets plugged into, and it's computerized, and everything shuts down at certain times. So if you happen to be here working,
Look
at
at how
that
many light
time.
bulbs you have on right here.
Oh, yeah, I know.
You have
I've been in an
32.
office at 11 o'clock and had everything
Lights
shut
on.
off on me. So yeah.
I mean, that's what they do. They go in and really fine tune.
Well, I know,
everything.
I work at a private school and they've done the same thing. They've had them,
So
you know,
that's
come through, but I'm just,
In theory, if it's just a cost savings, we could use that savings for something else, right? The suggestion that it be used for.
Oh, no,
capital was the city's
that was
suggestion? Is
that was their suggestion, that they looked at it as capital projects, right? They looked at, because the cost savings ends up being so large on some of these things, right? So like, for instance, right now, we're one of the things that we're working on right now And as a matter of fact, the application was submitted today, is the retro commissioning project at Torrington Middle School. So it's in your capital plan for funding. All right, we're hoping that the capital plan gets funded for this project. But the first part of this retro commissioning project was at no cost to Torrington. All right, the utility is paying Resource Innovations to come in and do the first part of the investigation to determine where they can recommission that building to come up with cost savings. I did this in Oxford. And in Oxford, not only did we end up saving $35,000 a year just in the retro commissioning project, and we didn't put any lighting in the building. It was all HVAC stuff that they worked on. But the one thing that we didn't know, and there's no way to calculate, was the 18,000 gallons of oil that we saved by recommissioning the building and getting all the control systems to work the way that they're supposed to, right? For years, we've had custodians and different contractors coming in and touching our control systems and changing set points and stuff like that.
Manual overrides.
Right, manual overrides also. I mean, I got a health report that's as thick as this thing that showed the amount of overrides that were in Torrington Middle School before we upgraded and we upgraded the system. So all those overrides are out now. But so they're going to come in and fine tune our system. So the capital part of that is after they do the initial, which is paid by the utility, then what's going to happen is there's an implementation phase and the utility is going to pay 50% of the implementation. We have to pay 50%. That's where the capital expense comes in. And then we get instant savings right off the bat on it. So
let's just, I mean, I don't know, are we gonna have to decide if we're gonna listen, or we vote on it, or we just assume that we get the set of the date? Where are we now? Where are we?
well, I told Aaron,
Right, so do we do it in April or May?
April.
Nikki, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, in April.
I love
Maple.
Maple. Maple's a
We
good
love
month.
Maple.
It's a good month.
I don't know,
She sounds
seem
good,
to
I'm
think
hungry.
that maybe May would be better. but-
Maybe May, whatever you guys want to do it.
I think, can we just reach out to the city to fully understand if there's some reason for, the urgency, some reason, is there something going on cost savings wise, something there? And if not, then yeah, let's push it out till we're through the long list of stuff we have to do. I just want to feel confident in knowing that there wasn't an urgency for a reason.
I would assume, Glenn can tell me if I'm wrong, but I assume this is just cost savings. It's
Sue
just a
just
way
said
for
there
us to be more
wasn't
efficient.
urgency.
Oh, is she talking?
She said they left it up to us. There wasn't urgency.
There was not
Wasn't.
urgency.
May's
May-
fine.
May's
Let's do May.
fine.
May's
Right.
fine.
May.
Okay, we have a
You
lot
guys wanna do
going
that?
on.
Okay, May it
Much
is.
going on right now.
May it is.
Okay.
Good, okay.
I want for projects.
Okay, so in your thing, there's two things in there. There's the capital reserve funding. All right, so just as when we're talking about projects, right? Projects come out of the capital reserve. So this capital reserve funding is a spreadsheet that I actually fine tuned it, but this is what we shared with the mayor. And what you see on the far right is the balances in our capital reserve accounts right now. So for instance, the Lock Foyer has 128,250 as a reserve. The Torrington curb replacement is, 114,100. You can see encumber 214. Yeah, you can see the encumbrances and what our expenditures were. Go down to the bottom though, so you understand on the roof projects. But these are bonded projects by the city. And remember that there was two bonded projects. It was the roof replacement and the window replacement. Each were at 700,000. All right. So the expenditure on the roof replacement when we replaced the flat roofs was 619,305.78. The reimbursement from the state of Connecticut was 422,270.21. All right. Left a balance in that account of 502,964.43. And then remember, the windows project was moved by vote over the 700,000 to the roof replacement. That gives you a total cost right now on bonded projects of 1.202,964 million. So that is the money that's currently available to do work on the Torrington Middle School roof. So I wanted you to see that. And then what Nikki had asked for, Nikki, I always try to provide for you, Nikki. What Nikki asked for was a timeline on projects. And so I came up with this. This is basically like a construction timeline. Gary's seen these before, right? I tried to do something similar in a construction timeline of where we are. Torrington driveway. These timelines are subject to change. And we weren't quite sure where we were, but maybe engineer or maybe bidding in May, depending on what happens with what they want for the project, maybe bidding in May and June, July repairs. That's probably about where we're going to be, but it may not be. It may be something as simple as putting a gate in, and then this would change that timeline. Southwest flooring will be bidding in April with install in July, August. The middle school locked foyer, hopefully bidding in April with July and August install on the locked foyer. That's already under architect plan right now. So architects are drawing up. We actually have the plan all set up for the middle school foyer. TMS roof replacement, engineering, so we're going to approve that at the board meeting, the RFP. So we'll be going out March, April for bidding, and that work should be completed. I would think June, July would probably be the best time for the engineers to get in the building and really investigate what they need to. Vogel Wetmore roof, obviously, I have no plan on Vogel Wetmore roof because we're still kind of in limbo on where we're going to go with that and funding and whatnot. So that's in the current capital plan, but I left it in there so you can see. Retro commissioning project, right now it's in engineering and planning. So the first part of that investigation is coming out. And then, come May, June, we should have an idea. Maybe June, we have an idea on capital plan, what they're going to fund. So maybe, yeah, come on, Fiona, be more optimistic for me, please. We'll see. Hopefully, maybe something with that could be done this summer, if provided that the money becomes available in the capital plan. And school security grant potentially was set for bidding in May with implementation in June and August. But again, this timeline here is going to change. Because we're going to give you that information for the board meeting. You're going to re-review it and hopefully give us approval to go forward on that grant application. So, and if there's.
This is nice. No, I was just
Oh,
gonna say.
thank you.
It's nice.
Construction schedule.
Yeah, right, I know, but I
Easy to
wondered,
understand.
it is easy to understand, and I wondered if it would be a nice idea to just give monthly updates or something.
Yeah, I have it now. It's.
See? Looking out
Yes,
for you.
go ahead.
I think you made her happy. She's doing her
No,
happy
no,
dance.
it will. No, I will update it, and I have it. It's all set up as an Excel spreadsheet now, so I can update it and change it and make additions and corrections to it. And yes, you will see it as a monthly update.
Yeah, and then when Sue meets with the mayor, she can update her too. Right?
Yeah.
Keep her-
Right, and that kind of the two of these.
And you acknowledge
So the
it.
two of these documents really go hand in hand because I created both of them where you can see where we're pulling from our current capital funding in the capital reserve account and those bond accounts. So for instance, when we do go out for engineering, right, you're going to see the encumbrance come up in that bonded account because that money is sitting at down the city for us to use.
Mhm.
Just
My question is TMS roof replacement. So the blue is bidding, and the peach is planning. So the bidding is before the planning?
It's not for the replacements, for the
It's
engineering.
for the engineering. We're
you're bidding
bidding
for
for
the
the engineering. And then
Makes sense then.
the engineering and planning would happen there. All right, and then what
there'd
you'll
be
see
more
is,
bidding.
right, then you'll see, once we receive that, right, once we receive that plan back, right, it sets the next steps for,
Yeah,
are we
I get
doing a maintenance project? Are we
Yeah.
doing a recover? Are we doing a tear? How are we gonna fix this? So.
Okay, got it.
yes,
Thank you.
Fiona.
I'm confused. How do we have an architect for the locked foyer? Wouldn't we put it all out to bid for all of our locked foyers to pick an architect?
No, the reason why is because only the TMS locked foyer was approved in capital funding for this past year. So we went out to bid on this, or we went out on the security grant for the other locked foyers. And the state came back and said, or the grant commission came back and said, yeah, we're going to approve you for all these other locked foyers. So we already started the work on TMS with the plan to get TMSs done this summer.
So who is the arc? How did we get an architect? I guess is my question.
Joe
Who is the
Alicata.
So how much is that
I don't-
work?
yeah, I don't- we ever-
Go up and look at the encumbrance here, $7,750 for the project cost.
less than 10.
Yeah.
That's the architect's cost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Total, okay.
It was the architect's cost, not the project.
That's the architect's cost. Yeah.
Okay.
What does that mean? That stuff still has, that stuff's going back into, it's gonna go blue, beige and then blue. It's gonna go out to bid for actual work and then.
Yeah, right. So once we get the architect, so for instance, on that lock foyer, right, right now it's in engineering and planning, the architect has it. My hope is in April that I would have all those documents from the architect complete, that in April I would be able to actually put a bid document together and go out to bid. And then with a plan of completing that project in July and August. And I've had several conversations about this with the architect. We've designed and redesigned the project about 5 times until we came up with a plan that we liked, that wasn't so evasive and so incredibly conducive to needing a lot of money. So, but it's a functional project.
Lynn was just asking a question, sorry, about where we're gonna do summer school, but we don't know yet because we still haven't had the meeting with John and Laura and all of that. Yeah,
I was just
But all
thinking,
that
if
stuff
we're
will be-
doing all these
Yep,
projects, we
yep,
can't have
all
summer
that stuff
school.
has to
Well,
be considered. Yeah.
Summer school will probably not happen at Torrington Middle School this year, only because of
Yep.
the window project
Yep.
that's gonna happen.
No, and we actually have it on our OTL agenda to schedule a meeting with all the,
And actually, I can add that in. I'll add the window project in on the timeline as well. So, but that's, the only thing you're gonna see on window project, because, engineering, planning and bidding is all done. It's start and completion. It's just July and August.
All right. Anybody else? Which of it? All of the above. Updates, basically. What's coming up?
The facility,
Study.
Study.
yeah,
So facility study, that's in your current
Inventory.
capital plan.
the facility
Yeah, why
inventory.
is that? That was on 6 or something.
No, because they're looking at it from a different
Oh,
scope, but they,
Oh, that's right. That's right.
they need from you guys what all the
Right.
buildings
realignment.
have, the realignment. Not the high school, but the other buildings.
Like what we gave you before with the number of rooms and everything.
Yeah, I think it was received, but we discussed that.
What's the timeline for that, Fiona?
And I think the sooner the better, right? So that, like, we need to officially move on if we're putting 4, 5, 6 up at the middle school.
Right.
So that'll be all be here before you know.
So
it.
in facilities inventory, are you looking for, because I was working on a facilities inventory on actually equipment that we have, like air handlers and boilers and all that kind of stuff, but
Yeah,
and
that's
this-
separate. That's like the capital thing. This
Right,
is more in
this-
preparation.
they're
this
looking
one-
for capacity, I think. is
Capacity,
what
right.
the-
Okay, so this is.
This is separate. It's not capital driven.
Yeah,
Right,
so this
it's
is
facility
so
Right.
we have a document on this already. And then are you looking for anything else as far as equipment inventory in this
Well, if
study?
there's accommodations that we would need, because right now it's a 6, 7, 8 school. I think that's where we have to start. Like if we put 4, 5, 6 up there, is
The
there any
bathrooms, the
facility
height.
changes we would need
Easier to
to do?
do during the summer. Mrs. Lombowski.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying, yeah, that's fine. We can't lose track of that because we kind of keep pushing it. So,
All right. Just so it's on the radar.
right.
That's
Right.
fine.
Right, we did it, before you came to the district.
Yeah, we
We
did
did
it.
it for the elementary. It's really just to look at the feasibility of moving those
Yeah.
grade levels to a new facility and the feasibility of
And
that.
we probably
Okay.
still have all the same data,
Mhm.
just tweaked with any changes that
Right.
have been done since that.
Yeah, we can meet here internally and share all that
Okay.
with you, John.
Yeah.
so,
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's texting more, she's talking. We have to move forward once
June,
the shovels are
July.
in the ground for the building project, yes.
Yep.
June, July, we can get it together.
Gather it all.
Can't hear you, Sue.
Can't talk.
Thank you, Sue.
All right, how much for good of the order?
Oh, thank you, great meeting.
John,
I'm good, thanks.
Lynn,
Great meeting.
Fiona,
Done.
Sandra,
Awesome.
Nikki,
In these two meetings, I have heard timelines, monthly updates, and data. This was my favorite meeting, I think, in 2 years. I love all those things. I really appreciate it. No, I think all those things really help to ground us in kind of, the decisions that we're making relative to budget or anything else. So I'm really grateful for that.
Ellie,
I'm good, thanks.
Glenn,
I'm all set.
Ms. Richardson, Ellen.
Good.
John, good. Thank you. Good meeting. Quick. Where's the mayor? Oh, you were here. She never has anything to say.
She's hiding back
She used to be on the screen.
7:20.
It's over.
Oh, did you get a motion?
She already called it.
Motion,
Motion to adjourn.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night.
Hey, Nikki,